Hello guys, good morning everybody. Welcome to our YouTube channel. I hope I am audible. If I am audible, let me know and give me a confirmation in the comment box. हाँ जी, जल्दी से एक बार confirmation दे दीजिए comment box में whether I am audible or not. Audible. Okay. So we're gonna start the analysis for today, right? So someone has written a message, sir, you shall take the class on board only. See, whenever we get an opportunity, we take the classes on board only. It is when we have to, let's say, because the classes schedule is something like that, that I have to, let's say, sometimes take it from, let's say, in that manner, right? But agar hum, let's say we are not taking in this board manner, if we are taking in other manner as well, we will try to bring certain changes so that you guys are able to understand each and everything, right? Thursday I wasn't able to take the class because I had an emergency, so I wasn't there. So as a result, Thursday को हमारी class नहीं हुई. Okay, so let's begin the session for today. And one of the most important news that we have in today's newspaper, it is related to India-France defense ties take a leap. Now, I think you must be aware of this situation that we had the chief guest. If we talk about of our Republic Day, then it was the France president. And when we talk about the invitations that have been sent to various countries, in that context, when we talk about the most number of times a country has been invited as being the chief guest for the Republic Day parade, it has been France, right? So this time it was the sixth time that the France, or let's say representatives of France government, came and had let's been the chief guest of this Republic Day parade. So this is a point that we have to understand from our prelims point of view कि फ्रांस को सबसे ज्यादा इन्विटेशन भेजा गया है अगर हम रिपब्लिक डे परेड की बात कर रहे हैं. दूसरी तरफ, now there were certain major agreements that have taken place between India and France, which is the key moment right now. Now I think everybody is aware that there have been ongoing talks that have been coming between India and France related to Rafale jets and Scorpion class submarines, right? Their negotiations are going on, but while the way negotiations are going on, there has been a defense collaboration that has been signed between India and France related to co-manufacturing. There will be joint production of military hardware. Now this is very important, right? Now what we have seen that sometimes there has been a defense agreements that have taken place between India and France, where India has been the one that has been at the receiving end, right? We are taking and coming, let's say bringing the technology from abroad over here, right? But over the here, there has been a major change where the defense industrial roadmap has been prepared for cooperation on defense production, future collaboration on co-design and co-development of military hardware. So it is not just only related to the part that we will be developing it, but there will be co-designing as well. So this is the key defining moment that we have to understand, and we have to remember these certain points, because when we think about the recent relations, when we talk about in the case of India stand on Russia-Ukraine war, India stand on Israel-Palestine issue, so there we have seen that there has been a quite a constant that has been supporting India, considering and respecting India's sovereignty as well, that has been the state of France. Now in this context, these joint agreements that have been, let's say, signed between India and France will help us a lot in achieving a lot of things together. As you can see, there has been a new pact on defense space partnership that relates to space situational awareness as well. So this is an also interesting point that is coming कि डिफेंस की फील्ड में स्पेस पार्टनरशिप भी करने की कोशिश करी गई है, so that we could have space situational awareness. I hope this point is clear to everybody. This is a basic news that we have to remember, and we have to understand this point as well कि these type of news are very important because it will help you a lot in understanding your international relations as well, right? Right. Okay. Now moving to the next part, राइट यहाँ पे सारी पॉलिटिकल न्यूज चल रही है, राइट? सो दिस वाज आवर Republic Day parade, and on parade ground and skies above, women marchers, pilots steal the show. Now this is a very important point that we have to understand, considering how much we are focused on achieving our sustainable development goals. I think ये चीज सबको पता है कि we are focusing on sustainable development goals, कि how we can achieve them, and in that particular context one of the sustainable development goal is that we have to achieve gender equality and we have to reduce the inequalities. Now if I specifically talk about gender equality, women empowerment, then this would be a certain prime example of how you can manifest in your answers when you can say that on the Republic Day we are seeing prime examples of how women marchers and the pilots are participating and they are being given due recognition and representation at the highest stage, that is at the Republic Day parade, which is very much important as we can see over here, and that is duly recognized by the government as well. So there could be a certain quotes that you can use in your answers when you're writing your mains examination, whether it is related to essay part, whether it is related to GS paper 4 or whether it is related to GS paper 1. There you can mention certain points that there are certain positive transformational changes that are being coming in the country, as we can see from this particular aspect where women marcher are being given the due recognition. Very important. Okay, now moving to the next part. सिर्फ आपको ये एग्जांपल देखनी है और इसको देख के एक बार बस याद कर लेना है, राइट? ओके, नाउ this is again the jet engine deal with France will give 100% access to technology, right? वही सब चीजें चल रही हैं. Now the second important news that we have is related to a very interesting aspect, that is related to 6 workers killed in the fire inside the Nagaland rat hole coal mine. Now this is the one thing that we have to understand. Recently certain workers were trapped as well, and there also we went for rat hole mining. But this rat hole mining that has been prevalent in the northeastern region, it is quite dangerous. As you can see over here, because of these mining that has been taking place inside Nagaland, we have seen 6 workers that have been killed. Now one of the point that we have to understand is when we talk about protection of the workers who are participating as coal mining workers, there has to be a scientific mining practices that has to be carried on. And when we talk about scientific practices in mining, then that is not basically, we can say it is rat hole mining, because when we talk about rat hole mining, there are very narrow digs that are let's say that are holes that are being dug where a certain amount of people can only crawl through and then go for the mining. But the problem is it is very, very dangerous and it is not scientific and it is against the interest of the workers as well. That is why this is not the first coal mine accident in my constituency. Now this is basically words of MLA, that if will not be the last if the government does not take stern steps for scientific mining. So this is a point that we have to understand कि ये जो practice का तरीका है rat hole mining का, ये बिल्कुल भी scientific नहीं है. Depending how much we are basically dependent upon coal for our electricity generation, for our energy needs, I think it is absolutely approximately up to 70% that our energy demands are being met through coal, and in this context coal mining becomes very important. Now there has to be a certain precautions, there has to be a scientific mining practices that has to be advocated and has to be given due preference when we talk about mining. So in this context, rat hole mining is not the solution. It is the thing that has been going on for decades and it needs to be stopped so we can prevent the loss of the workers' life. As we can see over here कि नागालैंड में एक बहुत बड़ी दुर्घटना देखने को मिली है, and it is what we can call it is because of this rat hole mining. Right, now moving to the next part. Now these are all we can say editorials, but these editorials are related to all the things that we have already discussed in our previous sessions. One is related to Bilkis Bano case. I think ये हमने सबने देखा था कि Bilkis Bano case के अंदर it was basically the Gujarat state remission government policy that basically had to release and premature release of the prisoners or the persons who were the accused or were given the punishment by the special court. अगर हम बात करते हैं जो मुंबई के अंदर हुआ था ट्रायल उनका, बट प्रॉब्लम यही थी जिसकी वजह से पूरा डिबेट हुआ और फाइनली इट वाज हेल्ड बाय द सुप्रीम कोर्ट दैट द पर्संस कैन नॉट बी रिमिटेड अकॉर्डिंग टू द गुजरात पॉलिसी, but it cannot be done. Why? Because the trial took place in Maharashtra. So this is the aspect that we have to understand that was discussed in the Bilkis Bano case. Now this is related to all the political opposition thing, right? So need not to venture into this part. Okay, so these are all the what we can say. ये सारे अगर हम बात करें ये हमारी केस स्टडीज हैं जो हमारे सैटरडे के न्यूज़पेपर्स में आती हैं फ्रॉम वेरियस रीजन्स, राइट? सो दिस इज द पॉइंट ओवर हियर. नाउ आई एम गोना डायरेक्टली गो टू द नेक्स्ट पार्ट. Now this is a very interesting article. It talks about India at 2047, what does it take to make the nation rich, improve quality of life? Now, this is a very interesting aspect and we need to discuss this in a little bit detail so that we guys have a better understanding of this particular scenario. Now, let's try to understand. Now, I think everybody is aware of this particular point that government has a particular goal, that is we want to become a developed country by 2047. Right, this is our goal, that we want to become a developed country by 2047. Now, in this context, one thing I think absolutely clear to you guys, that we are right now among the largest economies of the world. Among the largest economies of the world, and soon, according to the government, we would be the third largest GDP of the world as well. Third largest GDP of the world as well. Now, when we talk about growth parameters, these are quite different as compared to development parameters when we talk about developed country tag, that is by 2047. Now, when we talk about growth parameters, it is basically judged by parameters like, if I can say, जीडीपी की अगर हम बात करते हैं, ज्यादातर ये पर कैपिटा इनकम से मेजर होती है ग्रोथ के पैरामीटर्स, या हम कह सकते हैं इट इज बीइंग मेजर्ड बाय जीडीपी. I think everybody is aware of what is GDP and what is per capita income, but let me give you a little bit revision. What is GDP? Now, GDP is about the production that is happening across the Indian territory, right? So, I can say it is the production of final goods and services that is produced in the domestic territory. This is how we calculate the definition of GDP. There are also certain negative points to GDP as well, that it doesn't take into account care economy, etc. and etc. But this is how we try to define GDP, that it is the production of final goods and services produced in a domestic territory in an accounting year. But the problem is that when we talk about that we're going to become the third largest country in GDP terms, when we talk about in the upcoming 5 years, we are talking only about from the production aspect. Now, one thing you have to understand is that one of the negative externality of GDP is it doesn't tell us equally that is the growth being shared by everybody. Now, as you can see over here, when I divide GDP by the total population, I will get the per capita income. Let's assume the per capita income of the country is something around $2,000. I'm not talking about the exact value, but just about the $2,000 mark. Now, can you say that each and every person on this country in India is earning a per capita income of $2,000? This is not the case. Everybody is having different per capita income. This is just the average that we are talking about. Most of the people right now we are talking about isn't even taking part in the production part itself. So when we boast of the parameters like we're going to become the third largest GDP, so the question comes, is the growth evenly distributed? This is the biggest question that we have. क्या जो हमारी growth है वो evenly distributed है या नहीं है? Now, when we talk about on these parameters, then there comes the catch, because in our country, growth is not evenly distributed, as you can ascribe from this particular fact that we have a certain program going on by the name of National Food Security Act, where we try to provide subsidized food grains to 80 crore of the people. Let's say we have population of 140 crore. Now, out of that 80 crore people, we are providing subsidized food grains. We are carrying our National Food Security Act. We are carrying on our public distribution system. So, how we can say that GDP numbers will actually truly reflect the position of the people in the country, that they are actually growing as well. Now, when we consider the part of India, we are facing huge or humongous level of inequalities that is prevalent in the society. So, when the question comes that whether we will be able to become a developed country by 2047, then there is a lot of catch, because when we talk about development, it is not just talking about in terms of GDP or per capita income. It is about having, let's say, according to HDI, मान लीजिए अगर हम HDI का पैरामीटर्स भी लेते हैं, तो HDI के पैरामीटर्स में these are the three most important points: health, education and standard of living. Now, when we see these parameters, India's rank is far away as away we can see in the growth parameters. Growth parameter में तो हम पहले 3 या 5 में आ जाते हैं, पर जब हम डेवलपमेंट की बात करते हैं तो our rank is somewhere around 132 or 131st rank. Now, this is where the problem lies, that when we see the inequalities that are among the people and the societies, then it is quite there. As a result, we are not performing in the numbers of health, education and standard of living. And even if we are performing a certain state in health, education as well, then there are going to be a lot of gender disparity that you can see among these parameters as well. So the question comes that when we talk about that whether we will become developed country by 2047, then we need not to look only into these parameters, that is the third largest GDP, but over the period of time we also have to see about these parameters like health, education, standard of living. Now coming the environmental concerns, there arose another situation that where people are not talking about development, but the people are talking about the development that shall take place. It shall be sustainable development. And along with it, there are certain countries like Bhutan where the focus has not been traditionally only on these GDP and development, but the focus has been on broader parameters like gross national happiness, where either we have to see कि अगर लोगों के पास हेल्थ, एजुकेशन, स्टैंडर्ड ऑफ लिविंग है, क्या लोग खुश हैं या नहीं है. So there comes another parameter that is related to growth of a country, that whether we can say the people of the country are happy or not. Like in the case of Bhutan, there are certain parameters that is being used to calculate the happiness parameters like good governance, ecologically, environmental, sustainable policies. Those are also taken into account, right? Some of the states have taken the parameters where they have launched the happiness index as well, so that they are also able to understand whether the people in the country or in the state are happy or not. So when we talk about when we're gonna become developed country, then there is not only this parameter we have to need to look into it, but we have to look into it some other parameters as well, like health, education, standard of living, sustainable development, and we have to consider the fact that whether the country में जो लोग हैं वो खुश हैं या नहीं है. I hope this aspect is clear to everybody, and in this point there will be very much importance अगर दी जाएगी sustainable development को. I think we would be able to achieve the lot of parameters, right? जैसे कि हम sustainable development की बात करते हैं, no poverty, zero hunger, हम बात करते हैं क्वालिटी एजुकेशन, गुड हेल्थ एंड वेलबींग, जेंडर इक्वालिटी, हम सस्टेनेबल सिटीज की बात करते हैं, वी टॉक अबाउट क्लीन वाटर, वी टॉक अबाउट इनोवेशन, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर एंड इंडस्ट्री, वी टॉक अबाउट क्लाइमेट एक्शन, लाइफ बिलो वाटर, लाइफ ऑन लैंड, वी टॉक अबाउट partnership for the goals, we talk about peace, justice and strong institutions, right? All those things has to be inculcated in our policy making so that we are able to give an environment that we are actually need to give for country like India. For country like India, it hasn't to be only focusing on growth, rather it has to be focused on development, because development will automatically create the conditions for the growth. Consider this aspect. A person who is healthy, who is educated, is far more capable of production rather than, let's say, person who is not healthy and educated. Now you must have seen that there have been certain problems that have been coming into Indian economy, and this is going to the case in the future as well if we do not address it right now. That is the problem of the upcoming technology and the people having the skills required to ingrain that technology. Now we have seen that in our country a lot of jobs are being created in the field of data scientists, AI, data engineers, but somehow we are seeing that people do not have the capacity and the skills that are required in order to take up those jobs. So as a result, the problem we are having is कि अगर लोग jobs ले ही नहीं रहे तो देश में production नहीं होगी किसी सर्विस की उन particular emerging technologies में. So as a result, there is a problem of structural unemployment in the country. I hope this point is clear to everybody, and I have made you revise a lot of points or concepts related to economics, right? हाँ जी, यहां तक क्लियर है तो एक बार टाइप कर दो यस. ओके, नाउ मूविंग टू द नेक्स्ट पार्ट. ठीक है, सारे स्पॉटलाइट न्यूज है. ओके, UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees tax task for role in Hamas attack. Bodies of 7 Ukrainian soldiers reported to Kyiv. Kenya court rules sending police to Haiti is illegal. South Korea president condemns attack on PM. Alabama in the US uses nitrogen gas in its first of kind execution. Now this is an important point. Recently there has been a person who was accused of killing someone has been given capital punishment by inhaling nitrogen gas. Now there is a lot of what we can say debates that have happened about the capital punishment, that whether we need to go towards capital punishment or whether it shall be abolished. Let's try to understand a little bit more about this particular aspect, that when we talk about capital punishment. See, capital punishment, as it has been said by Supreme Court, that it shall be given in rarest of the rare cases. Now what are the when we talk about why there is a let's say viewpoints that are in the favor of capital punishment, then the main one of the thing is that it will create a deterrent in the society. Second of all, it will, let's say, keep the crime rate in check, right? Keep the crime rate in check. But the problems that we are witnessing is that you are taking someone's life. Now, this is against the fundamental right. So, this is against the fundamental right. Second of all, when we talk about capital punishment, question is whether it is able to create a deterrent or not. यही चीज है ना कि यार हम deterrent create कर पाएंगे या नहीं कर पाएंगे. But you must have seen in Scandinavian countries they have abolished capital punishment. So क्या उससे crime rate check हुआ? बट एक वहां पे स्टडी करी गई थी जहां पे ये मिला कि इवन कैपिटल पनिशमेंट वाज अबॉलिश्ड, क्राइम रेट वाज नॉट coming to lower levels. It was there at the same earlier level as it was there when there was a scope of capital punishment. So as a result, in India, what we have opted for, that it would be given in very rare of the rare cases, and it has been said by the Supreme Court itself, right? So the justifications that you can give is कि हाँ deterrent create कर सकता है, but ये उधरी केस में देना चाहिए जहां पे rarest of the rare case हो. Otherwise, the most, let's say, accepted phenomena that is right now in the circles of, let's say, penalizing, that one shall not go for these reformative, deterrent or preventive punishment types, but rather there should be a system where you are aiming towards reformative punishments. आपका ज्यादा फोकस कहां पे होना चाहिए? रिफॉर्म्स की तरफ होना चाहिए rather than going for retribution. Now reform की जब हम बात करते हैं, it cannot be given for this rarest of the rare cases. First of all, there could be certain scenarios where you think that a person has considered a crime, then you understand the situation under which a person has committed a crime, then only you can basically guide that person कि यार आप काउंसलिंग करवाइए, उनसे कम्युनिटी सर्विसिंग कराइए, जिससे कि हम एक पर्सन को रिफॉर्म कर सकें rather than going for the retribution. Because when we talk about retributive form of punishment, it is just about the quantum of the crime shall be proportional to the quantum of the punishment. That is the situation that is there in retributive punishment, जहां पे quantum of crime directly proportional है punishment के. पर रिफॉर्मेटिव में सिचुएशन थोड़ी सी चेंज हो जाती है, जहां पे हम सर्कमस्टांसेस समझ रहे हैं जिसके अंदर बंदे ने क्राइम किया होगा. सो एज अ रिजल्ट वी एज अ पर्टिकुलर सोसाइटी, अगर हम डेमोक्रेसी की बात करते हैं जहां पे सबके राइट्स के बारे में सुना जाता है, तो कहीं ना कहीं रिफॉर्मेटिव पनिशमेंट is the need of the hour. Second of all, we are discussing about a case, about Alabama case, where the family of the person for whom this particular, जिसके लिए जिनके अगेंस्ट मर्डर हुआ था और उसकी वजह से उनको कैपिटल पनिशमेंट मिली है, उन्होंने बोला था कि दैट विल नॉट ब्रिंग आवर फैमिली मेंबर बैक, even though a person is being given the capital punishment, we will not be celebrating. So they were not, let's say, in favor or in against of capital punishment, but they were totally neutral to this capital punishment. So this is the point that we have to understand in this context. That is very important, because these are certain kind of news that you might have to write in your mains examination whenever there is a question on capital punishment. Okay. जर्मनी सीज, ये सारे प्रोटेस्ट चल रहे हैं जर्मनी में. अमेरिका हॉल्ट्स न्यू नेचुरल गैस एक्सपोर्ट फैसिलिटी साइटिंग नीड टू टैकल क्लाइमेट क्राइसिस. नाउ दिस इज अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग न्यूज कमिंग कंसीडरिंग 2024 में इलेक्शन ड्यू है बाइडन जी का, है ना, और सामने ट्रंप है, जो डोनाल्ड ट्रंप क्लाइमेट चेंज को सिर्फ हॉक्स मानते हैं, दैट दे कंसीडर डज नॉट इट टू बी अ रियलिटी बट टू बी अ मिथ. बट वन ऑफ द एस्पेक्ट दैट वी हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड इज, आई थिंक सबको पता है कि यूएस से नेचुरल गैस के ऊपर ज्यादा फोकस करता है और वो कोल से शिफ्ट कर चुका है, एंड इट इज ऑल्सो ग्रेटर एक्सपोर्टर ऑफ नेचुरल गैस एज वेल. नाउ व्हाट अमेरिका इज सेइंग कि वो जो न्यू नेचुरल गैस एक्सपोर्ट फैसिलिटीज हैं उनको हॉल्ट कर रहा है. नाउ दिस इज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग एस्पेक्ट, क्योंकि ये यूजुअली देखा गया है कि यूएसए बहुत ज्यादा सप्लायर रहा है, but Joe Biden, who has been basically championing the cause for climate change, has been basically very much proactive in this. और उनको अगर इलेक्शंस को देखा जाए तो ही इज द बेसिक ऑफ द नोशन कि जो नई एक्सपोर्ट फैसिलिटीज हैं उनको रोक देना चाहिए. सो दिस इज अ वेरी बिग न्यूज दैट इज कमिंग फ्रॉम यूएसए, दैट इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. Okay. Now this is all about the economic news and nothing that much important, right? अब ये एक चीज है जो आप देख सकते हो कि गवर्नमेंट मल्स स्टडी टू इंटीग्रेट Enam with ONDC. The union government is doing a feasibility study to integrate all its forms of open network digital commerce to ensure larger benefits to go both buyers and sellers and a robust e-commerce system. to withstand any disruption in physical market. One such experiment where the government may find out illegally and technically feasible, that is to link this open network for digital commerce with this Enam. As the government has connected 1389 mandis across the country, an integration may help FPOs to navigate both simultaneously. After acquiring skills, many FPOs have forayed into trading. One FPO from Maharashtra, while sourcing spices from its own district, has also ventured into buying chilies from Guntur to meet its customer demands, and opportunities for selling the produce have widened manifold after the Small Farmer Agri Business Consortium enabled such FPOs to join the ONDC platform. Now, अब ये बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग बात है जहां पे आप सभी को एक ही जगह पे लेके आ रहे हो, considering from FPOs, considering from this small farmers agri business consortium, you are talking about Enams where you have integrated all the agricultural mandis. As you can see, around 1389 mandis across the country have been concentrated and connected to one platform, that is the Enam platform. So this is also very important. Okay guys, so I think that's it for today, right? So we had a holistic session where we had to discuss a lot of important news. I hope you liked the analysis and you were able to understand a lot of points. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. Hanji. So it's the doubt time. You have any doubt, you can ask me. Put it in the comment box. हाँ जी, कोई डाउट है तो आप अपने कमेंट बॉक्स में लिख सकते हैं जल्दी से जल्दी. I would be able to solve your doubts. If you have no doubt, then we shall end the session, right? So keep reading the newspaper and we will be again back on Monday, same time 9 a.m. Till then, enjoy your weekend, right? तो एक सोच रहे होंगे आप सर वीकेंड ही चल रहा है वैसे तो 2-3 दिन से, ठीक है? So yes, now the examinations are coming very close. Give your all 100%. Now this is a time to refocus, re-energize and shift all your focus towards the prelims examination, because it is now very near, and those who aspire to become IAS, let's say, this is the time that they have to give it their absolute best if they think that they can be the person that could be the one that can clear the examination, right? So thank you so much. Take care. We will see each other on Monday, same time 9 a.m. Till then, take care.